Welcome to episode 13 of The Weighing Room, brought to you by the Winners Enclosure, myself, Frankie Foster, and Hannah Baycroft. We have a juicy card, a lot to get through on this week's podcast. I think 13, did you say, Hannah, in total?
Yeah, 13.
13 races, that's all right, across Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and some big clashes as well, which we'll be talking about.
Yeah, I was going to say it's really exciting. What we're going to be previewing as well will be very exciting. I was just going to say that I am speaking to you from a car on the road duties, and Frankie's in Mexico, so that is the contrast we've got at the moment. Mexico and a car park in Blackpool, so it's all going on. But I think, Frankie, you're going to kick us off, aren't you, with our first race?
I am, yes. We are starting on Friday at Lingfield in the 120 Mares Handicap Chase. Is that right? Yes, it is. And I've got one I quite fancy myself in here. I'm going to have a bet on it. Firstly, the Winners Enclosure selection for this, the 120 at Lingfield, is Would You Be Well, around about 5-1 for Emma Laval. My selection is going to be Legends Ride. Going mostly off of the form line with the home press for Venetia Williams. On the last podcast, not last week, but the week before, I tipped up Gunsight Ridge, who had a very, very similar story. Came second to the home press, but was about 10-15 lengths clear of third. Both the home press went on to win at Cheltenham, and Gunsight Ridge went on to win its next handicap as well. The race after that, a similar story with Legends Ride, was second to the home press, but again 10-15 clear of third place, and again the home press went on to win subsequently after that. So we're kind of following that form line. I think the handicapper was miles behind on press, and these horses may have got a bit of a toe in on that as well. So yeah, going off of that form line, Gunsight Ridge was a winner, the home press was a winner. This horse is in the same string, and hopefully it can handle, actually, you know what, it hasn't even gone up anyway. It's running off the same mark, so off the same mark as last time out in another handicap. I really fancy this one.
Okay, so my pick for this one, I'm going with the 8-year-old Cross Scales Fame Game. So she moved from Fergal O'Brien's yard and then made her chasing debut on the 5th of November at Hexham. She came second in the novice handicap chase behind Crack du Nijan. Here I go with my accents. And that was at 14-1. She made good ground in the closing stages, moving from the 5th to the 2nd. And I thought she had a really good effort on that one. She also won the novice chase at Huntington, winning by 8 lengths, and that was 2 mile 4. And I mean, there was only 4 runners, but I really like this horse. But I think I've written last time out, so yeah, I was just checking, actually just cross-referencing that because I've got my race card up, because I've now worked out how to do that. The last time out, she came second to Zambella in the listed race at Doncaster. I think she is that big prize for what she is capable of. Of course, the main concern is the heavy going for her, because I do believe, when I did look at it, Lingfield, it is heavy. But yeah, she carries £5 more than her last trip, but 2 less since her second on her debut. So yeah, I like this horse a lot. Yeah, that is my pick for the 1.
1, and we're going to, I believe, another handicap, which is the 335 at Lingfield, handicap hurdle. And the Winners Enclosure selection is Tybalt. I believe I've got that right after speaking to Jess's parents who own it, quizzing them on that. My selection is going to be, which is now a favourite, Carrera for Emmett Mullins. I know I have been guilty of following the market on Emmett Mullins and getting stung before at Weatherby when it got smashed in and I got sucked in and it got beat in a handicap. But I'm sticking to my guns, and you know they're taking this horse an awful long way. And if you do look at its last run, it came second, but it was given quite a sneaky ride where I think they were just trying to pick off first without getting stung too badly by the handicapper, and ended up coming second. Probably left it a little bit too much too late. And I think if they'd have really tried to kick on with this horse, then it probably would have won. It's Mullins bred, Mullins owned, trained. they've brought it all the way to Lingfield. If you look at the card, it's the biggest prize money on the card, about 52,000 for this race. I do think they'll be coming here to really have a crack at it. 7-2 maybe is a little bit short now, and it probably gets shorter. But I am going to stick with my guns and go with Carrera for Emmett Mullins, with Paul Townend on board as well, which is a very strong booking.
So my pick for this one, I'm going with Lucky Max, a 6-year-old. Already had 3 from 3 this season. It bids for a 4th. So I'm just going to check actually, because I normally say he for all horses. I've got such a bad habit of doing that. Yeah, it is a he. It's gelding. He won his seasonal debut at Clonmel, back-to-back wins on the last 2 appearances at Cork. Last season, he didn't make a massive impression at all, but he's matured well and is improving. It's caused him a steep rise in weights. He started from 96 and now 136. I did also note down actually the winner's enclosure pick and your pick, Frankie, because I do like Carrera. Paul Townend appears for the 2nd time in Britain this season and rides, like you said, the Emmett Mullins trained.
Strong booking.
Yeah, I do like that horse. I thought, let's be different. I've also noted down actually, like I said, the winner's enclosure pick, Ty Bolt, Cave Tara gelding. That's a nice horse too, but I'm going to stick with my guns and I am going with Lucky Max. But yeah, if I had to, I'm R-ing with the 3. I do like Carrera, but yeah, I think I'm going to stick with my guns and go with Lucky Max and hopefully can get a 4th win.
Lucky Max, Tierbolt and Carrera in a competitive handicap. Next, we are going across the globe to Meydan. I always struggle to pick horses in these. Thankfully, I feel a little bit more confident given that the winner's enclosures selection is Lord Glitters, and it will be for myself as well. This horse had a little bit of patchy form August, September, October last year, but it's so strong over in Dubai. It's won multiple group races. It's won a Group 2 at Meydan recently. Last time out, it won a Group 3. If you look at the same kind of period last year, January, February, March, in Dubai, this time of year, over in Dubai, it seems to do its best work. And you definitely wouldn't be put off on its last run in November with an RPR of 119 and winning a Group 3. So I think it is the strongest horse in the race. It's got a bit of form as well, over a couple of others having beat them. There is one which I'd be maybe worried, Partenique, just because it's only ran twice and it managed to come 2nd in a Group 3 on its 2nd run. And you could think that maybe that does improve and it's a bit of a surprise win. But we're going to go with the obvious choice, the winner's enclosure, myself, for Lord Glitters. Moving on, back over this side, or not my side, not Mexico. That'll be some funny racing. We're going to Ascot, which on the Saturday there is a brilliant card. And of course, we will be looking at the Shishkin and Nogamin clash. But first, we are starting with the 145 HOLLOWAY'S handicap hurdle. The winner's enclosure selection is Stella Magic at around 5-1, 2nd favourite. I'm going to be boring and go for another favourite. I'm going to go for Gary Clermont, John Joe trained, John Joe on board. I love John Joe Jr. as a jockey in a handicap. I know he doesn't have his claimer anymore. He's rode that out last year, but does a very good job in them. Just seems to have a handful of decent runs. Won a Class 3, 2nd in a Class 2 behind Captain Morgs at Ascot, and Captain Morgs is a very decent horse. And to be honest, it probably maybe would have won it, hit the front a little bit earlier and then jumped really badly left over the last. So I think that form's really good. And then most recently in a Grade 3 behind Tritonic. And when Adrian Heskin did his interview after winning that, he said that it was a real strong performance and they've been waiting to get that horse right. So I think that was quite decent form as well. And, not a Class 1 Grade 3 to be frowned at. So Gary Clermont, I think the form lines up nicely through a handful of good runs. He's been unlucky not to win a Class 2. Off of 1-4-4-3, John Joe on board. What's not to like?
I'm going to go with the Dan Skelton 7-year-old Unexpected Party. Harry Skelton rides. So this horse is down in trip and stepping up class to Class 2. We last saw this horse on Boxing Day at Weatherby in the handicap hurdle. It was the beaten favourite.
could not believe it got beat that day.
Beaten favourite too, going also by a length, cruising to the lead before 2 out. Second in the handicap hurdle at Cheltenham before this, and won the novice handicap hurdle at Weatherby. He's going to need the soft ground. I haven't actually looked to see what the ground currently is at Ascot, Frankie. I don't know if you've got it up there.
Soft or heavy? Soft.
So that all looks good. It will be his first trip to Ascot and first time on a right-handed track. So it'll be interesting to see how he deals with the right-handed track. And Saturday he carries a 10 stone 11. I mean, I always say it all the time, I do love a Dan Skelton, Harry Skelton duo. And yeah, for me, well, this horse is currently in its second favourite at the moment. But yeah, I'm going to go with Unexpected Party for this race.
I nearly did. That form at Cheltenham's good. I just, watching it get beat at Weatherby, I watched it back again and just think, how was that got beat? I think it went 1 to 1,000 in the running over the last. You would have, and I backed it as well, so I was furious. Yeah. So that's probably what steered me clear of it. But yeah, I was on an iron between the two. Next up, 220, the Mares Hurdle, Grade 2 race over 2 miles 7. The winners enclosure selection for this is My Sister Sarah, around about 11 to 4. Willie Mullins, Paul Townend, Dream Team. Myself, I'm going to go for Western Victory. I do think this is a tricky race. Again, kind of going off this horse's most recent form. It's had a handful of good runs on soft ground. Seems to go on all ground, but does its best work on soft ground, winning most recently by 11 lengths over in Ireland. And then if you just look back to its 2 before, won a listed mares race by 10, which I think is pretty impressive going into, what's this, a grade 1. So a slight step up there. But then the form behind Royal Kahala, I like that in its second most recent race. A length back to Royal Kahala, behind Dysert Diamond, not Dysert Dynamo, the Supreme Machine we just saw last week. I think off the back of those, and it does tend to dip in and out of mares races and against the opposite sex as well. I think it's a strong horse, handles all ground, travels well. It's a decent stayer, which is going to need to be on soft ground over 2 miles 7. A tricky race. They find it hard to pick one in this, but I'm going to settle with Western Victory.
Okay, so I'm going to go for Molly Ollie's Wishes, another Dan Skelton horse. And
I thought you might.
Yeah, and ridden by Harry. Now, when I've just looked actually at the market, it's now favourite. So, you know, a disappointing appearance last time out in the Grade 2 at Ascot on the 20th of November. Gosh, that seems like ages ago. And it was. That's when we last saw it. She did start well, but she raced keenly. And towards the end, you could see Bridget really pushing her to keep her on. And then she weakened. I mean, she'd already run a race before, ages before. So, you know, I was disappointed by that. Her ears were pricked coming up to the fences. She looked happy. Sorry, up to the hurdles. She looked happy. But there we go. She's had 63 days off. She's coming back into it a little bit fresh, but it's not a massive break. The furthest she's raced since the 27th of December 2020, where she won the Mares Handicap, and that was at 3 miles. This will be her 3rd appearance this season, trying again in the Grade 2, so hopefully there's better luck this time. She's a Class 1 listed hurdle winner twice and a handicap hurdle winner. I really like this horse and hope she does go well. I also, let me just check, no it's not, when before the declarations were out, I did note down Tequila Blaze. I really like that horse, but it's not declared, so we don't need to talk about that. So anyway, that is who I'm going for this one, Molly Ollie's Wishes.
Next up, we go to the 255 handicap chase, Class 2. I'm stuck between two. I'm going to stick with first we'll do the winners enclosure selection. The winners enclosure selection is Fagnon d'Estruval for the informed Venetia Williams. Which I nearly went for, but I've gone again with John Joe, another favourite in a handicap, which just never seems to work out, I don't think. But I am going to go with Palmer's Hill. Again, slightly based off of the interview that they gave when it won at Ascot. And they said they've had a real tricky time with this horse, and they haven't quite managed to get it firing until recently, when it absolutely bolted up at Ascot by 10 lengths and made it look easy. Now, it has gone up nearly a stone, 134 to 142. So it's gone up in the weights off the back of that. But you've got to wonder if they haven't had that horse quite firing how they'd like it. Hasn't been producing the best performances. So it's not running off of super high weights. Maybe it's slightly ahead of the handicapper, and maybe, you know, after this race it might kind of get caught up with. But I do think there's a little bit more in the tank in handicaps, definitely, and they were pretty keen on it. The winners enclosure selection for Fanny and Destravale is kind of the opposite story. Top weight with a claimer on board, which you don't see too much from Venetia. Charlie Deutsch picks up most of the rides on her best horses and has ridden this horse pretty much every time it's ran. But Lucy Turner on board taking 7 off is quite interesting on that horse. So it was between the two for me, but I'm going to settle with at the top of the market, Palmer's Hill.
Just a brief glance at that race. I don't have a pick for it, but just a brief look at the form. I'd have gone with Palmer's Hill.
Palmer's Hill. Hopefully, fingers crossed. And does that wrap us up for Ascot? No, it doesn't. No. How could we? How
could you forget?
Of course, 3:35, Clarence House Chase, the one we're all looking forward to, really. And do you know what's really annoying? I think I might be on a plane at that point. So I'm going to be, I know, in the end and not actually get to watch it. I might not be with the time difference. I might just get it in, hopefully. But anyway, of course, Shishkin and Ergamine. And I must mention First Flow as well. And we'll give a mention to Amula Gob because you love that horse.
I mean,
I don't think you can completely ignore First Flow. But definitely, or myself anyway, we're looking at the clash between Shishkin and Ergamine. The winners enclosure are in Camp Shishkin, and so am I. I think this is so interesting that we're seeing them against each other now rather than at Cheltenham. And maybe I'm wrong, but I think we know that Shishkin's going to the Champion Chase. We know that that's what Henderson wants to do with this horse. There's no arguments about that. It's the only entry it's got at Cheltenham. It's been the plan all along. And this is essentially its prep en route to that. Mullins, on the other hand, Energamy might go to the Champion Chase, might go to the Ryanair. You know, he's got Allaho, which is entered into the Champion Chase, Ryanair, the Gold Cup. He's got options with a couple of horses. And you've got to wonder, is he coming here to figure Shishkin out? Are they coming here to figure out how they match up and then decide what they do at Cheltenham? Or is he coming here because he simply fancies it and he thinks he's got the better horse? I don't know. But personally, off of what we've seen so far, I know there's a lot more to come from both these horses and we don't quite know yet. But I am Team Shishkin. I do think it's deserved a favourite. You get some people argue that you see the value in Energamy at a bet, but I think Shishkin wins.
I agree. I mean, you know, like you said, it's just I do think it's just to, you know, suss it out and see what happens, and it's going to give us a better idea of Cheltenham. We're so close to Cheltenham as well. But yes, I agree with yourself and the winners enclosure. I'm also going with Shishkin. We'll give a mention to a couple of others as well, as we've only got 4 runners, I believe. Yeah, 4 declared. So obviously we did wait a long time to see Shishkin. His win in the Desert Orchid Chase was the highlight for Kempton on the 27th. Nicky Henderson's face, obviously, after his win was just absolutely brilliant. I mean, I was watching it with my grandma at home, so I didn't have the pleasure of being there like I was the day before, but, you know, it was great to see and fantastic. And as we know, he's last year's Arkle winner. He's unbeaten in 6 chase starts. I mean, he's a freakish beast, isn't he? He's fantastic. And Nicky Henderson said he won't be doing much leading up to it. I think we did see a picture on Twitter of him out, but, you know, he won't be doing much to the lead up to it unless I think Nicky wants him to do anything. But, you know, he'll be up against Willie Mullins' high-class 2-mile galloper, Energamy. And Anarg, I can never say his name, you know. It's like a bit of a tongue twister, but you know who I mean, the mighty one. And he's yet to be beaten in 5 race offences. First Flow, who won the Grade 2 Peterborough Chase at Huntington. It was last year's Clarence House Chase winner. He'll run again. Interestingly, it must have been this time last year when I spoke to Kim Bailey just after. I can't believe it's been a year when I interviewed him just after this race. And lastly, as you mentioned, my horse that I do love I say my horse, I wish, Amula Gold. I do love this horse, can't ignore it. I mean, when I looked earlier, it was 100 to 1 and we bet 365, but like Dan Skelton said, I think it's with Racing Post, you know, you've just got to give it a go. I have just I wanted to read you this quote because I thought it was great. It was from the Racing Post about Shishkin. And it says, possesses an abnormally high cruising speed and a lethal burst of acceleration. I just think that phrase just sums him up perfectly. And it is just such an exciting day on Saturday for racing. It's going to be a juicy, juicy race. And I think, well, let's hope you're not on a plane. Let's hope you get to watch it, because this is something
timed awfully.
Yeah, it needs to be pretty nice. So that then wraps up.
Yeah. No, it is. It is good. I hope that, although I want Shishkin to win, I hope that it's not. I hope it's competitive, because otherwise it leaves the champion chase slightly disappointing at Cheltenham.
Yeah, it would be nice.
But you wouldn't want to see a demolition job by either.
No, it's going to be really juicy and nice to watch. I mean, you know, it's only a 4-runner field. It'd be nice to see some more, but there we go. It's going to give us a good insight. So that then wraps up Ascot, and then we move on to Haydock. We do. So we've got the main novices.
Another beast.
Yeah, the grade 2. It's for 4-year-old plus. There's 7 declared. I'm just going to get you, Frankie, just to tell me the winners enclosure picks as we go on. So I am going with John Bon. Frank, if you can tell me the winners enclosure, I do probably believe it'll be the same.
Yes, it is John Bon as well.
It is. So just a brief, I mean, you know, this horse is fantastic from what we've seen so far, but just a brief recap on him. He was bought for $570,000 by JP McManus after winning an Irish point-to-point. He's the half-brother to Duvan, and he's faultless in his 3 starts and most recently dominating in the Grade 2 at Ascot. He's second favourite in the Supreme at Cheltenham behind Constitution Hill. We've also got... no, I did write a note about another horse, but it's not actually running. But anyway, yeah, John Bon's a brilliant horse. And actually, you know, it was great to see that what people were hyping up about him was all true. He's a fantastic horse. And I think we've all got the same, haven't we?
Yeah, we'll all have the same 2 to 5 on. Everyone's just kind of, we've had Constitution Hills probably last run. We've had Dysart Dynamo recently as well. And this is kind of the final piece to the Supreme puzzle, which is looking like a very, very good Supreme. I hope that it's a little bit better ran than at Ascot, when they all walked up to the first and no one wanted to take up the running, and John Bon actually ended up taking up the running for most of the race. I hope that it is ran a little bit better race, and we get to see a little bit more pace and a proper ran race. So we can see John Bon's full effect. It jumps its hurdles so well, darts over them. So I do want to see them go a little bit quicker. I've just lost your picture there for a second. I can still see. There we are. You're back. So I do want to see a proper ram race. I want to see it go a little bit faster. I love how it takes its hurdles. And yeah, really, we're all looking to see another come round the home bend and kick on by how many lengths. It's an exciting one to watch. But yeah,
I was just going to say, I hope Lambourne Open Day is on this year, because I just want to see all these stable stars up close and in person at the yard.
Great horses.
Yeah, I hope so. Anyway, we now move on to the 2 o'clock at Haydock. It is the Unibet Hurdle, ridden over 1 mile 7. It's grade 2, and my pick for this one, I'm just going to see if the market has moved. I am going with the favourite, Tommy's Oscar. Now, I really like the background story to this horse. So Anne Hamilton trains the horse. It's her and her husband, and they've only got a very small yard in Newcastle, but I've written small but mighty, because it is. They've only got 4 horses in training. 3 have run to a Racing Post rating over 150 or higher. Now, with Tommy's Oscar, last time out, we had a 7 LB claimer, Tom Midgley. So he was booked for that last ride because they were worried that he wouldn't overcome his 150 mark, but he ran the race really well. Danny McMenamin, and apologies if I've said that wrong, takes the ride, and his last ride with him, he won the handicap hurdle at Haydock. So I think this is a really nice horse, and it's one of those things where a nice little story comes along with it. I think mainly they race up north, so we perhaps won't, I think I read that somewhere, that we perhaps won't see them much in the south, but yeah, this is a nice horse. I can see why it is favourite, and it has obviously gone into favourite now. So yeah, I'm going with Tommy's Oscar, and I do believe, I'm just going to double check, Frankie, the winners enclosure have gone with,
Yes, the winners enclosure selection is also Tommy's Oscar. I'm going to go against you. I think I regret it. I do think Tommy's Oscar is probably the strongest horse in the race, but I just think 8 to 13 is a bit short. So I'm going to go with the second favourite, Hunter's Call. Ollie Murphy having a great year. Aidan Coleman riding very well for him. And most recently at Cheltenham in that international hurdle, behind Song for Someone and Guard Your Dreams. I think that's very strong form, which shouldn't be looked over. Two very, very decent horses. It's gone well enough in some listed races. It's won some Class 2 handicaps off of a pretty high weight. And then, yeah, most recently in that Grade 2, I think that form behind Song for Someone and Guard Your Dreams, both improving horses, could maybe see it win this. But I do agree Tommy's Oscar is a deserving favourite. I just thought it's maybe a bit short at 8 to 13. So I've gone against you with Hunter's Call.
Alrighty, well, we move on to the 2:35 at Haydock, Peter Marsh Handicap Chase. It's Grade 2. And let me just check. I do think, because I haven't written that down, it is ridden just over 3 miles. I am going with the David Pike trained Remastered. Now, the winners enclosure, Frankie, are going for
Royal Pagaille, which is also their nap of the weekend.
And it's currently favourite. Remastered is second favourite at the moment in the market. It does like the soft / heavy ground. It's currently soft and heavy, of course, in Haydock. I don't know if it's scheduled to rain, but knowing Haydock, it probably will. Last trip to Haydock, it was second in the handicap chase. And that was just over 3 miles, 10 lengths behind Enquad. It was had a disappointing fall, in the Ladbrokes Trophy chase, but it'll be up against last year's hero, Royal Pagaille, like you mentioned, winners enclosure pick. Here was second in the Grade 1 chase at Haydock on the 20th of November. Now, I was umming and ahhing about this, toing and throwing, but I like the look of this horse. I think this was one of my picks before. It is a 9-year-old. It's going well. I mean, a lot of people were knocking it, after the fall, and I just no. I think this horse is a lot better. It's got a lot in him. Tom Scudamore rides again as well. So yeah, we will be. The last time we saw this horse was 18th of December. I keep forgetting we're in 2022. So yes, that is my pick for this one. I am going with Remastered.
I'm going to go with Lord du Mesnil. Royal Pagaille, I think. I nearly did, but off of a mark of 163 in a handicap, I think that's pretty steep considering it's got fairly patchy form. Remastered, was unlucky at Newbury, wasn't it? When falling, and then second last time out, pretty quick 200 bounce runs. But I've gone further down, 8 to 1, Lord du Mesnil. A horse that's just come back into form, really. And that's I've lost you again. My mistake, not yours. Clicking buttons on the laptop.
You're not missing much. I'm in a car.
Also fell out of a bit of form. If you look at April, May, December last year, pulled up, unseated rider, pulled up. But sometimes that can do a horse a favour in handicaps because the weight doesn't go up. The mark doesn't rise when you have these unfortunate runs where the horse for whatever reason isn't firing, or you get a faller or unseated rider. And most recently it went out at 33 to 1, and that's probably because of the patchy form it had, and comes second in a Grade 3 off of 150. Runs off of 152 today. It likes soft ground. It's a brilliant chasing horse, and going off of its most recent run rather than taking the pick of most of its form last season. Hopefully it's backfiring, and I think it can build from that run in December and have a decent crack here. So Lord du Mesnil will be my selection.
So we now move on to Sunday. Going back to Lingfield on Sunday, the Novices Chase, Class 2. I am going with I'm gonna stick with the favourite duo, and I'm gonna go with Favois I'm going to say Favois because I feel like that is how you say it. Dan Skelton trained horse, Harry Skelton does ride, I do believe, is he booked? What are winners enclosure going for?
The winners enclosure are going for Ridotto.
Okay, so
Cornicles.
Favois down in trip since his last appearance. He was no match for Pictoy in the Grade 2 at Ascot on the 17th of December, his last trip. He went well and made good effort to make good ground towards the end. I thought he did well. Novice handicap chase at Ascot on the 19th of November. He battled well with Torn and Frayed. He's a strong looking horse and he is an eye catcher. When he runs, he does catch my eye every time. And I do think, just going back to the Grade 2 at Ascot, you know, he was really trying, and then he'd go over a fence and he did make up that ground quite well. And I just think, as I said, he's down in trip this time, and I just think that's going to help him out a little bit more. But I think he can do it. I can't see the market at the moment. But yeah, Warlord hasn't got bad form either. But no, I'm sticking with my guns. I'm going with Favois, the Dan Skelton trained. What about you, Frankie?
I agree. It's a funny old race. There's a couple with form behind Edwardstone, who's the second favourite for the Arkle, but beat him miles back. And I agree. I think the most recent form behind Pic Dory, I really like that horse. And although it was beaten 9 lengths, they were 18 clear of third. And Pic Dory goes some gallop, so I think it maybe can stretch horses a little bit, and as you said, start to tire them out in the latter stage of the race. So a little bit of a drop in trip, and not having a crazy Pic Dory out in front stretching this horse, it might just settle. It jumps well, like you said, and I do think it's got a great chance for the scouting team. So for myself as well.
I think he definitely had more to give as well, especially in that last race. When you watch, it just looked like he could have given so much more. But now we move on to the 25-2 still at Lingfield. And that is the WEATHERBYS Cheltenham Festival Betting Guide Hurdle. 2 mile 4, Class 2. I'm going with Jeremy Scott Stable Star, Dashel Drasher. The winners enclosure are going for?
Darvastar.
What was that, sorry? You cut out there.
Darvastar.
Okay, so Dashel Drasher, the horse that I'm going for. Currently, I should say, at Lingfield, it's heavy. Now, this horse likes the heavy ground. He was disappointing at Ascot, but bounced back when put over hurdles last time out at Newbury in the handicap hurdle. 2 mile 4 on heavy ground. His chasing career left him with 3 from 4. His first time at Lingfield will be this time, and his hurdles career in 2018-2019, he had 4 wins from 7. So if you look back at his form, actually, it's not too bad. And I think he's a really great horse. I do think he's going to go well. So yeah, it would just be his first time at Lingfield, which was all like a little point that I put. But other than that, I think he'll be great, and that's who I'm going with, Dashel Drasher.
The winners enclosure selection is Darvastar, and the same for myself. I nearly went with Bruin Upper Storm after it fell at the last at Cheltenham, and I thought it was going to win. It looked very impressive, and unfortunately fell at the last. But the thing that was the decider was the heavy ground at Lingfield. And come Sunday, after it's been run on, it might be a bit of a bog. And I always used to think Darvastar looked like it needed that little bit further. I know it doesn't exactly run in staying races. You know, it came third in the Champion Hurdle. They tried it in the Arkle, I think. Tried it chasing. It normally runs around 2 miles or 1 mile 7. But even when you look at it go up the Cheltenham Hill or how it finishes its races, it does stay pretty well. And if it gets into a bit of a dogfight over 2 mile 3 in heavy ground in a bog at Lingfield, I think Darvastar could just battle it out and back over hurdles. Most recently won by 20 odd lengths. Not a very competitive race, but it seems to like its work a bit better over hurdles. So I'm quite excited to see it back in a more competitive hurdling race. So Darvastar is my selection for this one.
Okay, so now we move on to the 3 o'clock at Lingfield. I am going to go with Ollie Murphy trained Itchy Feet. Beautiful looking horse. When I went to visit, he tried to bite me, but still a gorgeous horse. As they do, yeah. I'm used to that with my one. Anyway, so this race is the chase at Lingfield at 3 o'clock, 2 mile 6. Like I said, going with Itchy Feet. Frankie, the winners enclosure are going for?
Itchy Feet as well.
Cool. So he's had a 64 He's had a 64-day break. He was last seen at Haydock, beaten by the mighty Bravemans's Game. He had a nice start to the season as well. I do think he'll go well. It'll be the third time he's wearing cheek pieces. I think it's just sharpened him up a little bit. At the moment, can I see the market? Yeah.
No, can't get a price on it.
With Bet365, he's looking at about 9-2.
Okay.
But yeah, so it'll be his third appearance this season. It's not a massive break, but I mean, when he has come back from a little mini break, he hasn't done that well, but he's a great horse, and definitely not one to look past. So yeah, I'm sticking with the Winners Enclosure. What about you, Frankie?
We'll finish with a full house. Last race of the ones that we're looking at. I am also going to go for Itchy Feet. I thought Fakir Dairies was going to run in this, but I'm told he's going to Ireland, I think, instead. So yeah, second best. I'm settling with Itchy Feet. Probably my feet. It's a hard one to figure out that form with Bravemans's Game. Obviously, Bravemans's Game was just in cruise control. But you know, how good is that horse? Very, very impressive. So you still see it as half decent form, and it has been running well. Second behind All Mankind, who's a bit of a freak himself as well. So yeah, I'm going to side with the two of you. And for all three of us, and 3 o'clock at Lingfield on Sunday, we are all having Itchy Feet.
We are indeed. So that wraps us up for today's episode of the weighing room, the Winners Enclosure. So many words I had to say there, but yeah, we've gone through quite a lot today, and hopefully we can get some winners. And that will be.
Do you have a nap for us?
My nap for this, I am going to go with Tommy's Oscar in the 2 o'clock at Haydock, in the hurdle. I really like this horse, and it's apart from Shishkin, this is the one I really want to see win. I think it's well deserving. So that's my nap. What about you, Frankie?
Gonna go with the first one we looked at, 120 on the Friday at Lingfield. Legends Ride, going off of that handicap string of form with Vintage Williams' horse, and I think it was Ollie Murphy's horse, that one as well. Nice little bit of form in the handicaps there. So Legends Ride will be my nap for the weekend. And the Winners Enclosure's nap is Royal Pagaille in the handicap, top weight favourite in the 235 at Haydock.
Okay, well that just about wraps us up, doesn't it? But yeah, so hopefully we'll have some winners next week, and that is it from myself and Frankie, and we will see you all again next week.